It's hard for Pumps and I to pick who is the most unlikable person in the administration. But today we are going to pick on J.D. Vance because he makes it so easy, because he is such a nefarious, evil little twat. Play the video.
And I feel like something happened like 10 years ago where it's like you have to think that every single person who fought for the Confederate side was an evil person. And I just think that's so stupid.
Okay, there's always this effort on the right to highlight and lift up the Confederacy. They get upset if we take down Confederate statues of soldiers. They want to wave their Confederate flags. And it has always been this big thing that they can't let go of. And at the core of it, the Confederacy fought so that they could own Black human beings and rape them and beat them and use them and abuse them and not pay them and have them go out and do all the manual labor, and only the white people benefited from it. It's so breathtakingly evil. I can't even believe a sitting vice president of the United States is taking such a position. It's disgusting.
Well, J.D. Vance is disgusting, and his positions throughout since he became a senator have been abhorrent. But I look at this and I think the Trump administration not only allows for racism and emboldens racism, this is like systematic signaling that it's okay to be a racist, like empowering racism. And to think that we are going so far backwards, it really is so disturbing, because they're not stopping at Black people. It's women, it's LGBTQ. It's a systemic bigotry.
Right. But also, I just want to point out, it's always been there, particularly in the South.
Absolutely.
They have fought so hard to have their Confederate flags. They were in the city of Oklahoma City when Barack Obama came here on official business when he was president of the United States. That's how the white Christians greeted him in the state of Oklahoma. They were all over the January 6th insurrection. And this, at the core of this, I think the George Floyd protest prompted a lot of people to really start thinking, wow, it is different for them. Black people do have a different experience with police. And that was on the foothills of having a two-term Black president. And the white racists will defend their right to be racist above and beyond everything. And they are rarely called out. And the Black Lives Matter movement was a massive call out and a massive wake-up call for so many white Americans. I think a sitting vice president saying this and it being at the bottom of the news cycle, if even touching it, just shows how much racism is alive and well in the United States of America, and it is absolutely horrific. But all of this is tied to wages. And here is and reparations for Black people. There is always a ruling class that wants to exploit poor people, specifically poor people of color. And this is what left the vacuum open for this white rural rage to go in to Trump, because they have a racist default setting. He stokes it, and then they want to get under. And then you have all these white men. Here is Representative Kenyatta saying the quiet part out loud about livable wages.
Not every wage, and please hear me clearly on this, not every wage is designed to be a livable wage.
I mean, is that not just so? This is something, we're the richest country in the world. This is something that all other first world countries, nobody would even say that out loud. Like, other countries take pride in the fact that, no, I receive benefits, I receive a good pay. Like in Europe, they say, you don't have to tip our waiters, we pay them a livable wage. In America, white people love exploiting labor. And this guy, he's probably never going to be a multi-billionaire, but how emasculating is he that he wants to fight for the Elon Musks of the world and the Jeff Bezos of the world to get more money, like a very few small group of people, and he can't fight for the masses.
Well, these people, Republicans historically, they don't fight for the masses. They, trickle down economics was a joke, and they have basically made poor people out to be the bad guy. And it's just, I don't know why it's so surprising, but Trump has emboldened these people across America to be proud of their racism, where they used to kind of try to be quiet about it. It still existed, but he's emboldened them. And now they're saying out loud, we want you to be poor because then we can own you.
Trump makes everybody worse.
He does.
Everybody that comes into his orbit is worse. Trump supporters are worse off for having supported him. The people that I know that are Trumpers were already kind of questionable pieces of shit to begin with. But after they triple Trumped, they're not even redeemable, in my opinion, at that point. And the people who are still cheerleading this evil stuff of taking nonviolent criminals away from their families and celebrating it with glee, almost drooling over it, these white Christians. It's really, really a stain, and it's so disgusting. So beyond Trumpism, we do have a racist reconciliation that has got to happen, and it happens on a local level. Policy is one thing that we can change, and that's why we can elect leaders of color, leaders that aren't racist, in to change the system. But on a local level, individual level, you and I both live in a very Republican state. And you and I have had a lot of conversations that change starts when somebody says something off color to you, that you say, hey, that's really racist, and I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with dehumanizing people because of the color of their skin. So I don't want to hear that in my presence again. And that is a way that, in all of the ways that we can attack fascism and racism and all of these things, that's something that we can all do on a personal level to help impact change. And it also goes for wages. When you hear people talk about, well, we don't like regulations, remind them that regulations is a Republican word. What it is consumer protections. A Boeing jet just crashed from India to London. Boeings are made in the United States of America. Boeings have been majorly deregulated. These are the same planes where you got doors flying off and all sorts of shit going on. Regulations mean consumer safety. But for Republicans, regulations mean, oh shit, we're not going to make as much profits. We're not going to be able to exploit people, cut corners, and make people less safe. All right. This brings me to the triple Trumpers. And the triple Trumpers are finding out. A lot of triple Trumpers have companies where they have minority workers and they pay them a very exploitative rate. And they didn't play the tape through that, oh my gosh, I have a bunch of Hispanic people or a bunch of people from South America or other countries working for me, and I'm making a shit ton of money. But I'm going to triple Trump because I can pay less taxes with him, and he's kind of a piece of shit, and that speaks to me because I don't really care about my plebe employees. Well, guess what's happening now? Watch this clip.
Of a roofing company in Florida who lost a third of his staff when 6 of his coworkers were detained by immigration officers. The business owner, who voted for Trump in November, spoke about the financial and emotional toll it has taken.
We're not able in Key West to just replace people as easily as, say, a big city. Very limited people to pull from. And then you would have to train them. And that takes sometimes years. It's financially as well as emotionally. It takes a toll. You get to know these guys. You become their friends. Just not an employer, but a friend. And you see what happens to their family. It's quite a shock.
Vincent, you voted for Donald Trump?
Yes, I did. What happened here? This situation is just totally, just blatantly not at all what they said it was. Buyer's remorse? I don't know. A little bit.
Okay, that's total bullshit, Vincent. 100%. Trump said that they wanted mass deportations, period. And that's exactly what they're doing. But there's the moral flaw. He said it right there. He's friends with these people. He cares about their families, but he can't vote for them because he values money over their well-being. And that's it. That's at the nucleus of America's problem. All of these tens of millions of people that seemingly seem like good people, at the end of the day, only care about themselves. America has taught people how to worship the individual. That is reinforced by evangelical Christianity, where it's all about you and your personal relationship with your Lord and Savior, who has chosen you for all of these great prizes in your life. And all of this is culminated to Donald Trump and these people, this moral flaw that they have. I mean, I literally think if we defeat Trump, we have to set up deprogramming places so that people can learn empathy. I don't know if it can be taught to somebody that age. I don't know, but there's a huge empathy problem with white Americans.
I agree with you. I also think that when you are indoctrinated with religion, you believe you are better than other people, and what happens to other people can't happen to you. It's a dissonance I experienced because I grew up like that. I see that in these triple Trumpers that are now saying, well, I didn't know you were going to deport my wife. I didn't know you were going to deport my workers. It's because everything bad happens to other people and they're chosen and they're better, so it won't happen to them. So they're able to vote for Trump thinking, oh, well, none of this will affect me, when in fact, he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do.
Let me ask you this. Is it that empathy isn't taught in those groups? Because I remember when we were younger being at your house and you always had a bunch of Christian friends and I was always the outlier. And we were talking about socialized healthcare, and you and this is when you were kind of in the heart of the mega church, and 5 or 6 of your other friends point blank looked at me and said, no, we shouldn't have socialized healthcare. I have healthcare and their healthcare is their problem. It's not my problem. And I was so struck. I was probably 30 years old. I was so struck at the lack of empathy collectively that you all had, and that you didn't feel like, oh my gosh, we should feel for poor people having healthcare. Is that reinforced not to have empathy, or is it implied, or how is it that a group, you're very educated, and a listener pumps is way evolved past all of this and enlightened past all of this now, but if we pick you up now and put you back in your kitchen where we were all hanging out with our toddlers, the lack of empathy struck me. And I kept trying to provoke it out of you all, and it wouldn't come.
I don't think it's a lack of empathy. It's because I think those people within the church, the white upper middle class, they have empathy for one another. But the empathy does not extend to somebody that's not like them.
Which is a lack of empathy.
Right. But I'm just saying, it's not like they're sociopaths with no empathy, but they choose to withhold empathy for groups that are not like them, that they deem because they are judgmental. They're taught to be judgmental. So I can judge you and I don't have to have empathy from you because you are less than me and your problems could not happen to me.
That's fascinating. I think that you nailed it right there. It's withholding empathy for others.
Right.
So maybe in that, because you and some of your girlfriends that used to be really right-leaning, I know that Trump has, changed a lot of people, are evolving more, towards being open-minded and progressive. But beyond Trump, that's the issue.
I agree.
And I think you're a very important voice, Pumps, in that, because you were in that world, where Black people were thought of less than, gay people less than, poor people less than.
Women should submit to men.
Yeah, shouldn't have careers.
Right.
And I think people that have been deprogrammed out of that are some of the most important voices moving, if we get through Trump, in the post-Trump era. I really do, because I think that the indoctrination that happens in the United States of America, the combining of religion with capitalism, with exceptionalism, all of those things incubate Trumpism, fascism, and all of these things. So I think your story, and many like your story, are the most important stories moving forward. People that were in the Death Star that found enlightenment that came out of it. Because I mean, you're the happiest I've ever seen you in your entire life.
Right. Well, I think that MAGA and evangelicalism, they mirror one another. I think they're just two sides of the same coin.
I want to leave you with this headline. Stephen Miller, this guy is as evil as it gets. Can we pop up the headline? Stephen Miller, stopping asylum seekers is, quote, all I care about. His number one goal is making sure that nobody gets asylum and that we deport as many people from the United States of America as possible. And it's important to constantly and always point out MAGA acts with impunity because of its overt Christian support. So one way to start defeating Trumpism is calling out the hypocritical Christians who claim that Jesus Christ is their Lord and personal Savior. Jesus Christ would give asylum to a dead pig. And these people hate asylum seekers, people that are running away from violence. And this moral disparity has to be called out. They're bringing religion into politics, and Democrats, you're making a huge mistake by not countering that and attacking their religious hypocrisy. All right, that's all we have for today. Buy our book. Pump talks about her deconstruction, actually, in our book. We joke around and say it's a manifesto, but it's a really interesting story about somebody who was raised in the Bible Belt, raised to be a MAGA girl, a good little MAGA girl.
Good little MAGA girl.
And here she is fighting MAGA every day as my beloved partner. So please subscribe to our channel and we'll see you all later.